Alright, so we're going to be doing 8-4 rational expressions, and this has to do with polynomials, and first we're just going to simplify them. A rational expression in its simplest form is when its numerator and denominator polynomials have no common factors. So what you have to do, we're going back to factoring, using the t-chart, the AC method, whatever you do. A lot of them are going to be easy when it's just the one that's in the front. But if it's not, you need to know how to do that, so refresh your memory on that. So we're going to factor, cancel out any common factors, and then state the restrictions. So first, for this one, I'm going to factor the numerator, and that's going to factor into x plus 5 times x plus 2. The denominator factors into x minus 5 times x plus 2. And so I'm looking for common factors. The x plus 2's can cancel out. These x plus 5 and x minus 5 cannot. In order to cancel out, the binomial has to be the exact same. So the simplified form is x plus 5 divided by x minus 5. Now the restrictions come from each factor in the denominator. So I have two factors here, x minus 5 times x plus 2. And each of those is not allowed to be 0. So because if it's 0, then it makes the denominator 0. So what that means is x cannot equal positive 5 and x cannot equal negative 2. So those are my restrictions. So for this next one, it's going to be multiplying. And what I'm going to do to multiply, I'm going to do the same thing. Factor first. So this first numerator is going to factor into x plus 3 times x minus 2. Remember, I'm looking at what multiplies to be negative 6. That adds to be positive 1. And because it's that easy form with the 1 in the coefficient of the x squared, I can just put them straight in the parentheses. This doesn't factor, that stays the same. What factors in the second one? Remember, this is a difference of squares, x plus 5 times x minus 5. Be familiar with those. And the last one is going to be x plus 3 times x plus 1. Once you have them factored, you can start canceling things out. If it's in the same fraction, one's in the numerator, one's in the denominator, you can cancel them out. But also if it's in the other fraction, because it's multiplying, you're really just going to multiply straight across. So everything in the numerators is going to be in the numerator, everything in the denominator is going to be in the denominator. So it would come out to this. And then what's in the numerator can cancel out with something in the denominator. I have x minus 5 and x minus 5. And if you notice, I have an x plus 3 and x plus 3. But notice I could have done that here. X plus 3, x plus 3. X minus 5, x minus 5. And then nothing else cancels out. Smush them together. X minus 2 times x plus 5 all over x plus 1. You can leave it in factored form, but we do need to pay attention to our restrictions. And my restrictions come from the denominators, even the ones that I canceled out. So because of this one, that means x cannot equal 5. Because of this one, x cannot equal negative 3. And because of this one, x cannot equal negative 1. Those are my restrictions. With dividing, it's the same as multiplying, except you're dividing fractions, right? So we first need to Instead of dividing by a fraction, I'm going to multiply by its reciprocal. Remember your fraction rules, because that's going to help here. I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So now I can factor. And anytime you have one that's kind of not in the right order like this is 2 minus x, not x minus 2, change it to the other way. When it's a minus, you have to factor out a negative 1. And then that's going to be negative 2 plus x. Well, negative 2 plus x can be rearranged to positive x minus 2. And now I have it in a form that I can cancel if I get another one of those. The x squared plus 2x plus 1 factors into x plus 1 times x plus 1. X squared minus 1 is a difference of squares. That's x plus 1 times x minus 1. And x squared plus 3x minus 10, that becomes x plus 5 times x minus 2. Haha, I got you. I saw you jump. Okay, well that was the joke. Alright, let's get back to business. So now, I'm looking to cancel some things out. I have an x plus 1 here and an x plus 1 here. I can only cancel one of these out because there's only one in the numerator to cancel out. But I also have this x minus 2 and this x minus 2. So nothing else can cancel out. I have that negative 1 still times x minus 1 all over x plus 1 times x plus 5. My restrictions come from these, which those are the same. So that means x cannot equal negative 1. This one, x cannot equal negative 5. This one, x cannot equal 2. But with division, it's kind of a little tricky because I also need to look at these for my restrictions. Because if you remember, this came from this right here. And that was in the denominator at some point. So that means x cannot equal negative 1. Well, I already have that one. But that means x cannot equal positive 1 as well. So those are my restrictions. This is my simplified form. And that's division. Okay, here are some U-try problems. Remember, if it's not in order, factor out a negative 1, and then it will be in the right order. Also remember, when you're first factoring, always check to factor out a GCF first. Okay, some of these you can factor out a GCF, and I didn't do one in the examples like that, so remember that part. Make sure you do these for class on Monday, and we'll go over the U-tries and go over any questions that you have before we start practicing with them.